How do you have the mindset of like an 8-figure plus, maybe 9-figure roofing company? How do you have the mindset of that?
The struggles that everybody feels, we felt them as well.
Wife comes home and, welcome to the Roofing Success Podcast, your go-to source for insights and inspiration to achieve ultimate success in your roofing business. I'm your host, Jim Aline, the co-author of Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors and the best-known roofer and the co-founder of Roofer Marketers. As part of the leadership team for the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance, I'm here to bring you the best from the industry. In each episode, I sit down with top industry leaders to dive into their strategies and valuable lessons to help you find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Today we got Norm Dopfer from Roman Roofing, Southwest Florida zone. How's it going, man?
Good. How you doing today?
Good. How's business down in the Cape Coral, Fort Myers area?
It's good. Everything's good, just continuing to plow the field,
Yeah. And I came across you guys years and years and years ago. We had a client down in Cape Coral. I talked to you about this, and I was like, man, these guys, I could just see that you were doing something right. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that just from the outside looking in, I was like, man, something's going on over here at Roman. They got their stuff together. And so, man, I'm really happy to be able to have you on because I've been watching you for years. So thanks for joining me. Tell us a little bit about
you.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the kind of the how Roman got started.
So the company's 9 years old. I named the company after my oldest son, Roman, who's obviously 9. Going on 10 this year. We just had our 9th year anniversary here at the company back in July. So super pumped for that. But I originally was from Ohio. I was in the health and fitness industry. And I had one of my top sales guys had moved to Florida, started a roofing company. And he called me one day and said, hey, would you be interested in coming down to help me run my company? And I said, absolutely not. I work in a air-conditioned environment. I'm around beautiful people all day. I got a great job, and roofing doesn't sound interesting to me. I actually had worked for a roofing company doing labor, when I was younger, so didn't seem attractive to me at all. Fast forward a couple years after Mike had moved down to Florida, he had started his company, reached out to me, and I had decided to come down for vacation. He begged me to come down and check out Southwest Florida. And number one, I fell in love with the environment. I'm from Delta, Ohio, the Midwest, and, the cornfields and bean fields weren't too attractive anymore. And I said, let's try this ocean thing and the sand and the sun. And it was a wrap, man. I came down here and started working for him, helping his company out. And, as time went on, I seen the opportunity in the industry. And, he had decided to go a different route with his business, and we had just looked at things differently. And I decided to part ways. I went and worked for another gentleman who was a successful roofing company in the area. I grew that company over 5 years and until their exit. And then I decided, hey, if I'm going to be in control of something and build something that I believe in, that's going to be a great powerhouse and a staple to Southwest Florida, I have to be in control of it. And I was ready to do that. So rest is history.
Awesome, man. That's great. We were talking the other day about mindset and I think it was when you got to maybe around 20 million or something, you were like, yeah, it's just another number in the bucket. It was just kind of like how. So I wanted to start off with how do you have the mindset of like an 8-figure plus, 8 to maybe even your mindset maybe 9-figure roofing company. How do you have the mindset of that?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people look at roofing and their businesses. It's just a commodity and it's just a job. And we just believe that it's much more than that. Like I told you before, it's a privilege for us to be in this industry. We look at it as it's a privilege to be able to come in and work in this environment, make the money we make, create the relationships that we've been able to create, and help out tons of people. Not just our own that work here at Roman, but the community in general. some of my best friends are clients, people I've met and done work for. And, we continue to do business together and hang out. So the mindset is, it's, I've always believed in it's something bigger than what you are. Everybody looks at everything as a transactional thing nowadays. And with the world being as crazy it is and everybody's out to get theirs and it's all about them. Hey, take care of your own, take care of yourself, take care of you. And, I was raised a little bit different, than that. And when I come down here, I see companies that are somewhat successful, but they're more focused around the owner. The owner's buying the toys, spending the money, got the big house, and the company can't really grow and flourish into what its potential is. So with me working for a couple guys before I started this, I was able to see the mistakes that I believed that they were making, and I was able to see where they were capping themselves off. And it was a culture thing. I am a passionate individual when I come into work for somebody, whether it was this business or anything I've done in the past. I'm not an individual that's like, hey, let's give it a shot and see what happens. I'm like, hey, we're all in and we're going to do it till it's successful. So the mindset is believe in what you're going to do all the way through from the beginning, telling yourself like, hey, we are going to be a powerhouse. I believe when I told you earlier as well, when we started the company, everybody's telling me that's around me like, hey, it's the wrong time to start the business. You don't have capital. You don't have employees. You're leaving this company. You're doing, all the naysayers. And it's like, look, if you believe in yourself and that you have a strong partner like my wife or my brother, alongside of you and you're a motivated individual, it doesn't matter the timing of the cycle. It doesn't matter. It's all in and work towards your goals. And that's what's was able to get us on the right track early on.
Yeah. I see a lot of people that, what their mindset gets focused on that, people look at the gross revenue of a company, right? And
Sure.
So like for some people, a $4 million company is just like their mindset is not there, right? They can't even fathom having a $4 million company, let alone a $10 million company, let alone a $20 million company. What let you break through that? Like, how did you just say, no, 20 million's easy, like 30 million's easy? And I see where you're going, where, you have some, like your focus is different. But for those people that have that, they're like, man, I don't even know if I could get to this. Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, it does take critical thinking. It's not just hey, I get my roofing license and I go out there and just because I'm driven, you're going to be successful and you're going to do 100 million in sales. It does take planning. You have to be, I eat, sleep, and breathe this. And I've been this way since I started the company. I was very careful and critical with, the logo design, the colors. I mean, I was just so involved with everything. I cared about all the details when I first got going. And the biggest thing was early on, it was just a job. You're going out and you're going like, hey, I just want to, if I can do 20 roofs a month, I'm good. I'm getting a paycheck and everything's great. For me, it was a little different. My wife was a teacher for 9 years at Cape Coral High School. And she was pregnant with Roman, and she came home and said, I can't go back to school. I can't go back and teach. Now, I had just got my roofing license, and I'm working for another guy. And I'm like, so you want me to start this company right now, and you're going to quit your job? We're losing our benefits and your income and all these things. So it was a ton of pressure on me to be able to perform and make sure that we were going to be successful. But like anything, there's risk. There was a lot of nerves that came along with it, but, I was ready for the responsibility and I was ready to lead the team. But just like anything, you try your best, you see where you're at, and you make mistakes. We made plenty of mistakes like all companies do, and we learn from them, we advance. That's one of our strong suits is making the changes necessary as quickly as possible. So back then, my first year, we did like 400,000 in sales. And then year 2, it was 4 million. Year 3, it was 12 million. And then it was 20 million. And, it was more like the community and the people around me that I was talking to that are looking at me going, wow, you guys did 20 million in sales. And I'm going like, yeah, I guess, it wasn't really a big deal. Everybody made it a big deal. I just knew like, hey, there's more work to be done. The procedures and processes and the systems and, the culture, needs to be a certain way. One of the biggest lessons from working with other guys was you see guys coming into work and they're not having fun. You see guys coming into work and they wear that bad look on their face, and you know that it's not a good environment. And I came from one of those environments, and it was miserable putting in every day for year after year with these guys that didn't make the environment well. So my main focus was create the environment where people want to come to work, make it exciting, be involved. Don't be an absentee owner. If your son's name's on it, you better be all in and make sure that this thing produces. So that's kind of been the trajectory and the push for us, early on.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure, right? That's a lot of pressure. Wife comes home and, hey.
Yeah. You know what? I thank her every day for it, though. I really do. I really do. It takes being uncomfortable to become successful. So if you want to stay comfortable all the time, you're going to be capped. You're going to be plateaued. You're going to stay on that wheel, and you're going to get the same results you've always gotten. So if you can get uncomfortable and press on, there's greatness that awaits. I mean, I'm a firm believer in that.
You gotta stay uncomfortable. I like I use an analogy, like people that are like really heavy fitness bodybuilder people, they live sore.
Yes.
Right. They don't there's not a day that they're not sore, because they're pushing themselves to a point that's so uncomfortable. They just live sore. Right. And so, you kind of have to do that. You have to accept that it's going to be hard.
Yes.
But I'm just going to power through it. What were some of the things that you did along the way, to handle that pressure? I'm sure there were days that were, man, maybe I didn't make the right choice. Maybe I'm not going to be able to make it.
Oh,
how did you handle those days?
There was plenty of those days, and there's still those days. Just because we, are a $77 million company and we do what we do doesn't mean that it's easy. It's the processes are easy, but the pressure that comes with it, when you range from 350 to 550 employees, and I'm an empathetic person. I care about people. So I carry that weight with me as a business owner. Hey, I got to take care of my people. This isn't a Norm and Lindsay operation. This is a Roman roofing operation. This is a family. We care about these individuals, and, we need to make sure we're selling so these guys can eat. So yeah, early on, I mean, geez. We'd have to do 10 podcasts, man, to get through it all. But no, the struggles that everybody feels, we felt them as well, and I would say that I actually felt them more than most, being empathetic to everything. I'm an extreme individual. There's no middle. It's like the end of the world, or, we won the lottery. So to me, it's when things were bad, they were really bad. And I just knew hey, listen, I can't let these people down. I can't let myself down, and you got to just grind and push through it. So many lessons have been learned along the way. How to hire people, how to interview people, what to look for in individuals. Coming from the Midwest, I'm a guy that waves to everybody, high fives, hugs, shake hands, everybody's friends. And, you come down and you start interviewing and meeting, a melting pot of people down here in Southwest Florida. You trust people. And then all of a sudden, after you hire them, you bring them on, you're like, this guy wasn't really the way he was in the interview all of a sudden. So a lot of lessons with hiring and bringing on the right people. And most importantly, just building the foundation of putting people, winners around you that have shared the same vision and the same mission as you, and want to produce and win like you do. If you got that bad seed, that bad apple that, is just a complainer every day, you make a comment about making a change, changing the CRM system, changing the sales process, changing a marketing program, changing a product, and guys flip out, it's hey, listen, we're doing what's best for the company, not what's best for you. So some of those things, and I'm sure everybody you've interviewed has a wide variety. We've lived them all.
Yeah, there's always problems, but I heard recently on a podcast, I might have mentioned this to you the other day. It was a day without problems is the abnormal day, right? That's the anomaly. When you're in construction, especially, right? But even just in business in general, the day without a problem
Sure.
That's like, what's going on here? Something's wrong. That's
Right.
when you're, it shouldn't be the day that you have a problem, because that's what the real days are. Okay. So in the beginning, man, you grew really fast. To grow that fast, that takes capital.
Sure.
Or how did you, you had mentioned earlier some of the mistakes. So actually, I'm going to go back to some of the mistakes that you said, because I think it ties together well. You
Yes.
said some of the mistakes you saw from other contractors were the owner was the main beneficiary of the success.
Yes.
And they had the nice house, they had the boats, they had the.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit. Some of the mistakes that you saw other owners making that gave you a lesson into what you wanted to do different.
Yeah. And I'm going to defend the owners here as well, but I'm going to give a little bit of advice. There's nothing wrong with being successful, and there's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself for hard work at all.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with that. I applaud that, and it should be a motivational tool as well. However, if you're marketing that and you're showing that to your people consistently, and you're telling your guys that you're not making money, the company's not doing well, and you're not willing to put in capital into your own business, yet you got all these toys and you're on vacation 24/7, and you're limiting your people from growing and being in a flourishing environment, that's where the problem is. And that's what I seen with the guys that I was working for. I'm not jealous that they're making money. I'm happy for them. I am their main guy. I'm their right-hand man. I want them to win. I'm their biggest cheerleader. But there's a right and a wrong way to do it. And unfortunately, we're judged everywhere we go. And as an employee or business owner, your employees are judging you all the time. They judge you by the cars you drive, how many times you don't show up for work, how many vacations you're on. So I chose to change that culture when I started this company, and leading by example. And that's including a lot of people and helping out people here. And, being one of the most important things about early on growth and getting to that level, it's financial discipline, just being as disciplined as possible with money. When I started this company, I didn't have a lot of money. I mean, it was very hard. I mean, I told you in our prep a couple days ago, me and my wife didn't take a paycheck for the first 3 years this company started. And I remember telling my mom, and she's like, well, why are you working? It doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this? And why are you working for free? And it's like, because I'm trying to build something. That's why. And I know what the sacrifice is. If I need an individual that requires a $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 salary, and I need that individual as a foundational block for the company, then I'm going to give up my money to bring this individual in to grow this. Now, not everybody's going to be in that position financially. Thank God, for me, I was involved in real estate. I had a bunch of other things going on. When the market crashed in 2008, I had found an investor down here, and we were buying some property, flipping houses. So my first little chunk of money I was able to make in the recession, I took that money and I started my roofing company with it. And then when that dried up in 12 to 18 months, I had a little bit of capital. And when I say a little bit, it was, probably 150K. And we went all in with it. And, it was one of the best decisions and best gambles of my life, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now that was kind of what I was talking about. I think a lot of people don't understand the sacrifice in the inception, and not taking a salary for years, right? Like,
Yes.
I heard the other day, it took 9 years before Amazon became profitable.
Right. Now look at them. Right.
Can you imagine that? Like, we have this mindset, and I know it's more challenging as small business owners, right? We got to feed our families. We got to do our things.
Sure.
So I think that a lot of times we lose faith in that, in the outcome of putting in the effort, right? We don't, Facebook didn't even have a way of monetization until year 13.
Right.
They didn't even figure out how they were going to monetize this thing. They just kept going and kept going and kept building something and kept building something. Not that I encourage anyone to do that, but there's a great roofing company that I know. It was a startup down in Texas. I was talking with the founder one day, one of the founders one day, there was 3 founders, but I was talking to one of the founders and he said, our goal is to be revenue positive in year 3. Like that's a different mindset, right?
Absolutely.
That mindset of it's going to come if I do the right things. You got a lot of advice to not do it.
Yeah.
What?
One of the strongest things, and I got to give a lot of credit to my wife, which, she knows Norm's crazy. I got a million ideas. He's over here. He's over here. He wants to do this. Like, that's me. For my wife to be able to just be 100% on board, I think that for us personally, I can't speak for the whole community, roofing community, but it's a team thing, my wife was all in with me, so all the sacrifices that I'm saying, hey babe, there's no going out to eat. There's no movies. We're living well below our means. We can't go buy this house. We have to stay living here. I mean, we started off in an apartment, you know what I'm saying? We were writing bids from our table in an apartment, and we had one vehicle. We're sharing a vehicle. She's teaching. It was a struggle for sure, but we believed in each other. We believed in our abilities as human beings and as driven individuals. And that helps a lot when you have somebody on your side that's in it with you. I got friends of mine that own companies and they're in their own business and their wife's in their own, professional careers. And, sometimes they do a lot of this because one's trying to sacrifice and the other one's focusing on a different career. So I was fortunate that my wife was all in with us, and we wanted to push the envelope and do our best with it. So
that support system is imperative. And, we talk a lot. I know you guys are part of the RSRA, Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance, with Adam Bensman and myself and John Cenac and Deshaun Bryan and those guys. But like Adam talks about that a lot. Even with a sales rep, like a sales rep needs to get buy-in from home.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone needs to get buy-in from home. Right?
Yeah. Ask my wife how many quotes she typed from school while I was out running estimates, while she was teaching.
So. Yeah, we need that support, and it's amazing to have that support. I had an old mentor in real estate that he left his job in the early 80s and went into real estate, and him and his wife made an agreement that they were going to live on her salary.
Yeah.
And that allowed him to go out and take a little more risk, and he put in the work, and he was very, very successful in his real estate and real estate investing career. But it was that foundation at home, right? That, hey, but they also said, we're going to live off of your salary. Not we're going to live off of your salary plus,
right?
Plus run up the credit cards. Yeah, it was, no, man, we're going to live off of your salary, And,
kind of our strategy. We didn't, when you start a business, you don't have business credit, and maybe you have bad credit to begin with. So we were kind of in that boat where, we didn't have like all this capital. I had met an investor that I was buying properties with and flipping homes. And, of course I'm pitching this guy for, hey, to throw in some money. And of course he's like, hey, I need a percentage of the company. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So the quick fix for us was we worked really hard with that, renovating these homes and selling them. And the monies that we made, which were small, we just took that and we acquired 2 rental properties. And the rental properties was our cash flow. And that was how I was able to survive and not take money from the company. Yeah. So trust me, it was a super tight budget. We look back on it and we go, we don't even know how we did it sometimes.
Yeah, but that's it's amazing how much you can make it on if you need to, right? Like, if you really need to, it's amazing how much we can scale back. Like after the crash of 2008, I scaled back to an amazingly low amount of monthly expenses. It was like
absolutely.
But it was because, man, we could do this. Like you could cut a lot of those things out for the sacrifice in the future. One thing that that makes me think of is the enterprise value of a company. Mm-hmm. People don't understand. A lot of times when we're building a business and we're starting out, we're thinking of that cash flow that comes from the business on a yearly basis. Like that's what we're thinking about. But what you're also building is the enterprise value of the company, what that Correct. Company could potentially be sold for in the future.
Correct.
And boy, there is no better investment than that you will make in your life if you can make that business work.
And I think that key point right there is super important for anybody listening, that's a roofing owner or any business owner for that means is to understand business in general, not just what you do every day. Because when I first started, when you get your license and you're out there, like you're trying to sell jobs and put on a good product and build relationships. You don't understand the business world yet. You don't understand reinsurance, insurance policies, tax strategies, deferred revenue and all these things that you deal with, EBITDA and all these things that come along later in life as you grow. But the sooner that you're willing to dive into those things and learn those things, boom, that's when the light bulb goes off and you have no problem working for a small salary or no problem giving up 3 years and not taking the money out of the company. So I think for anybody listening, that's important to understand, what those metrics are and to understand, business a little bit better. Don't just get your license and run out there and think like, hey, I'm going to build this, $100 million company with just labor. Like it's a lot of mental, you have to learn. You got to be willing to learn. I couldn't tell you how many nights I sat there watching YouTube videos and reading books and just trying to study it, and the thing for me was, it was almost embarrassing to be a roofer. I go back to Ohio and all my friends are in college and they got their professional jobs and, everybody's doing their thing and they're like, what are you doing, man? And it's like, I'm doing roofing and they're like, oh, okay. And nobody asked any questions about it. It's like,
yeah,
now everybody knows who I am and they're like, wow, you're a top 100 roofer in the nation. And you do all these things and, you give back to the community and, got a nice car collection and all this stuff. So it's like, yeah, now people understand. So it's nice.
Yeah.
And I've mentored a lot of businesses. I do a lot of consulting for free and, I'm a knowledge nut and I'm very big at like, hey, if I know it, I'm going to tell you, I want to help you out so you don't make the same mistakes I did. And if I can help fast track your business or help you out, like I'm all about it. I can give you the recipe. You can cook it the same. It's not going to taste the same. I ain't worried about that.
That's awesome, man. One of the things I like to say is or like to keep as a guiding light is to keep my knowledge level above my income level.
Yes, super important.
Right? Like, so if my income level is catching up to my knowledge level, I got to go get some more knowledge. I have to open that gap up. I never want my income level to meet my knowledge level. What were some of those business lessons that were really impactful to you over the years from starting Roman to now?
Yeah, just understanding the cash flow, seasonality of your market, understanding the snowbirds, people coming and going, and then aside from culture and all the good stuff, the ethics that are there and that you want to put in, but it's truly understanding how money works and leverage and debt. Everybody looks at debt and they're like, oh, it's the worst thing in the world. It's like, well, yeah, when you're buying a car that depreciates, but when you're leveraging it into something that is building equity or enterprise value, it's much different. Look at these equity companies that are buying roofing companies out current state and they're paying, 2-3 times for a company. And they know on the turn when they're going to sell it, they're getting 10-15x. Everything they spend, they're multiplying it, and it's like when the little guy starts to understand that methodology and those practices is when you really start to gain value in what you're doing. And it also, it gets exciting for a lot of contractors out there at work. We get burnt out. The fire inside starts to go away after you're just grinding year after year after year. And I can tell you, I got a big old trophy case with a lot of awards, but I can tell you what, they only go so far, man. I mean, you really have to find ways to stay motivated and stay excited. So for me, it was like when you plateau and we hit that 28 million mark and my knowledge gap was kind of hitting my income level, I was like, hey, man, I got to do something else. So I had reached out to my cousin who was an executive at Dow Chemical, degree from Harvard, chemical engineer degree from Ohio State. He was mergers and acquisitions for a large company. And, we're having a conversation about things and he just blew my mind, and it was like that fire had reignited. And I thought, I have so much to learn. There is so much more out there than what we're doing and what we think we're doing. Like, this is way bigger than what we are current state. So I got super excited again, and I decided to put more capital into the company. And I decided that I needed to start bringing on key individuals. And the biggest thing for me, because I'm a control freak, was listening to him talk about the importance of letting go of certain things in your business and trusting the right individuals and working on your business, not working in your business, or finding a proper balance of how to work in your business and on your business. For me and my wife, we were so heavily integrated into the day-to-day function and operation that it was hard for us to step back and have that 30,000 foot view upon the operation. So we plateaued. We were at 20 something million. Everybody's waving the flag saying, "Hey, congratulations, you guys are amazing." And I'm going like, man, I feel like I really didn't do anything. I'm ready to go. Like, what else can we do? So bringing on individuals that are more knowledgeable than yourself, seeking education, and talking to other businesses. It doesn't have to be the roofing industry. It can be anything. I have some amazing mentors that I've been involved with. My brother is one of them. My brother was a Raven in the Air Force, was out in Washington working for a marijuana clinic out there for a couple years. And, he gets out of the service. I said, "You're telling mom you're selling weed out there illegally." So it was like, we ended up bringing him on, and his military mindset and his thought process of procedures and efficiencies were amazing. I mean, I'm over here shooting from the hip, like, "Yo, let's just get it done. We'll sort it later," And my brother's like, "No, we're losing money here. We got problems over here. This isn't efficient. This isn't organized. The process needs to be this. So, I was very fortunate that my brother was willing to leave the company and move back across the country and give us a hand. And I mean, him and Justin made a huge dent on me personally, my brain of viewing things differently. And once I had these guys on my side, along with my wife and some key people that work for us, I knew like, wow, this is the next phase. This is definitely the core group of getting to the next level. Now we call that team our executive team. And I know when I talk to smaller roofing companies, they say, "Well, I don't have money for an executive team and I don't need," and it's like, you don't need to have that, but you need to seek advice from successful people. Yeah. So go out and talk to other successful business people and listen to all their problems and learn from them. And if anybody needs a hand, call me. Like, I'll give you my phone number. And if, you need any plugs, I'll hook you up, dude. I'm here to help. So that was the biggest thing for me, was listening to Justin going, "Norm, let go, let go, let go." Like, focus over here, dude. You're good at this over here. So that was one of the biggest things.
Yeah, I've heard it a couple of times from a couple of very successful people speaking on stage and in conversations. And to paraphrase it, it's I hire people that are smarter than me.
Yes.
Like that was where my success came from, was hiring people, bringing people on. Like, they brought the group together, the collective of minds together. That was their job, right? Like, yes. They have, and the vision of where we want to go, that's their job. But someone is better than you at sales management.
Sure.
Someone is better than you at operations. Someone is better than you at finance. Like, someone is better than you at all of these very technical things. And if you can bring that team together, boy, there's power there, right?
That was a mistake that I had seen the other guys that I worked for made. They seen individuals that were higher end individuals, more knowledgeable people that, required or demanded higher salaries. They were scared of those people. They were like, "Whoa, this guy knows more than me. I don't want him around. He thinks he knows it." It was like, wait a minute, this guy can teach us so much. Like, we need this guy, So early on, I had seen that people were intimidated by those individuals, and me going, "Hey man, I'm just a guy from the Midwest with no college degree. Schooling really wasn't the thing for me. I've always been entrepreneurial spirit and wanted to take the risk." It was like, I'm looking for shortcuts, bro. If somebody knows more than me, like, yo, I'm gonna sit down and shut up and listen.
That's
and
right.
that was a big success for us.
That it really helps. And then it helps to get someone else's eyes on it sometimes, because they'll see it from a different perspective than you do. Because like you mentioned, you're in it. you're in it every day. You're so wrapped up in the things that are happening that you're putting out all the fires, you're dealing with all the problems that you don't have the opportunity to step back and look at that, right? So it gets crazy.
I got a good friend of mine that kind of had, he retired from development group from SEAL Team 6 2 years ago. And we met through, business up in Clearwater, and we became good buddies, and we're hanging out. And, he's hearing the numbers. He's like, oh, you're a roofer. And I'm like, man, this guy's Navy SEAL Team 6. Like, this dude's badass. It's like we're into guns and shooting, and it's super cool. And I'm looking at this guy like, man, he's a regular dude. He's super cool. And he comes down to our operation down here, and he was super impressed with us. He was just like, man, you guys are killing it. This is amazing. Like, I'm working for this company over here, and dude, they need help. Like, he's like, dude, you're like the general here, man. You got it laid out like the military. And then it resonated. I'm like, that's my brother. My brother did the organizational steps. And
that's right.
My buddy Chris comes in. He's like, dude, like, you guys definitely got something going on here. It's special. I can feel it when I walk in. So for a guy of his caliber that operates at that level, at being an individual that was one of the best in the world at his job and what he did, for him to come into our roofing company and look around and give us the props, it was super. It meant a lot to me at that point. It really started to resonate. Like, hey, we have built something special here.
Yeah, and that's what it takes. Like, I built something special, right? Where everyone listening's a contractor or sales rep, or you're in contracting. Like, you start with the foundation, right? You build this thing. It's not overnight, and you get to continue to add on and or go on and build bigger things. How do you create? You had mentioned early on here you wanted to create the environment,
right,
that people wanted to come to work. When you get to a business of size, a business, and even a smaller company, it's still just the people, right? Like, it's just the people. It's the people within it. So the Marcus Lemonis, the profit, people, process, product, right? Like, the product is roofing services, right? But it's your processes that your people run on a day-to-day basis. So, but without the people, without the leadership team that you brought in to get to the next level, but even in the early days, it's still just the people.
Correct.
You said, going back to it, you said that you wanted to create an environment that people wanted to come to. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's contracting, so there's a lot of steps and processes in there. There's a lot of legal stuff that comes along with it. And the facts are, contracting world in Southwest Florida and roofing in general, the roofers got a bad rap, and it's like, I was looking at everything, and I did an interview with, it was like Business Weekly or something a couple years ago. And they said, well, what's the recipe for success? And blah, blah, blah. And one of my comments was, it really wasn't hard. And I'm not trying to brag, but the competitors set the bar so low. They don't care about their people. They don't care about the environment. They don't care about the products and this sort of thing. So for me, it was, coming in and seeing my people happy every day and giving back to those that put the effort forward. It's hard sometimes to reward folks or compensate people when you're not making money. So I had to sit back and think, like, how can I reward these folks when I don't have the money to give them? Okay. So I thought about the military. What does the military do? How does the military build that team-oriented driving system where these guys are willing to go out and fight and die with their teammates out there? And it's not about money. Some of their leadership are, here's their pay and here's the guys below them. It ain't about the money and stuff. It's about, what will you do for me? What can I do to help you? So as being a servant to the community and just trying to help out, I did labor and I did things and mentorship and talked to everybody in my organization. If they had a problem, one example, when we run sales meetings, and I know it's going to sound crazy, but we don't really talk about our sales numbers. We just started kind of talking about the numbers, as of late, but first 8 years, I didn't talk about the sales numbers, and I got hitters on my team. I got guys doing 9 million in sales in residential. I got everybody doing 4, 5, 6 million in sales. And I only run 12 salesmen, 12 sales guys. And I know companies that run 50 that don't do half of what we do. So building the right people in the culture. When individuals are coming in, the number one thing I'm asking my guys in the sales meetings and my office girls is, hey, how was your weekend? What'd you do over the weekend? Any problems? What's going on? Fill me in. And some owners go, hey, I don't want to carry that baggage of my employees. I'm the exact opposite. I want to know what's going on in your life, and I want to know if there's any hardships or problems that you're facing outside of work, because those problems are going to affect you at work, and I learned that personally through going through some stuff outside of work. And I knew that when I was coming into work, it was very hard for me to hide those feelings. And it was hard for me to be motivated when I knew I was in the, really going through it. So resonating with your people, showing them that you care, and not just talking about it, but doing the work. One of my girls' car floods out. We're out there, we're pitching in, we're buying her a car. We got people moving. We're rolling over there with 10, 20 other guys, and we're helping them move across town. Like, we're so involved with our people here. It's like, just put in the effort, care about your people, and they will care back. They will produce for you, and they will go to war with you. They will do whatever for you if you're genuine with your intentions and you share with them. A couple years ago, we had, it was still a good year, but we went, I met this guy who's a cattle rancher, and he's having some problems. And, hey, I'm trying to sell these cattle, use Wagyu cows and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, let's buy them. I'll buy them. We bought all these Wagyu cows. We came in and we donated thousands of pounds of meat to all of our crews and our employees, and it was super cool, man. Everybody's lined up at the office and boxes of beef going out. People are crying and just super thankful and stuff. And it's those things of giving back to your people, whether it's, not just money, but words and effort and labor. And I got guys that come to me that just, they talk about their relationships with their wives, and they talk about, their relationship with their kids and all these things. And I say, listen, man, it's all about communication. You want me to be your filter, and I'll do it for you. I'm here for everybody, whether you're a foreman, an estimator, a crew guy. I had a guy, one of my metal installers, barely speaks English, translator, talked with him 4 hours at his house because I knew he was going through some stuff. And, that guy's leaving. I'm leaving his house. He's hugging it out. And, they write me a letter and say, man, I worked with you for so long. You know what I'm saying? It was nice to sit down and have that personal conversation, and it's nice to have somebody at your level listen to me. And I thought that was super, it was like, wow, this guy's a grown man that's 20 years older than I am, and he's thankful that I'm listening to him. So it doesn't take much effort, but it takes effort, and you got to have the right intention and drive to want to be that individual for your people.
People want to be heard. That just popped in my mind, man. That's, and everyone's going through different things. So,
all the time, all the time. Look at the world. Look at what's going on in the world.
Right. There's stuff going on, man. And so to think that someone's just going to come to work for you and just not bring any of those problems with them, but knowing that if you're a leader, you're going to be a good leader, you're going to want to be empathetic to those things. That's awesome, man.
Sure.
How do you support a $9 million sales rep?
Well, it's early on in my career. I just learned the most important thing with I'm a sales guy. I come from the heavy sales background. I've led my sales team every year. I just recently brought on a sales manager because I'm letting go. But no, it's hard. It's hard to find the right people. But I think that if you're a good leader, I think you can get guys to produce. My top guy, I'm gonna use Jordan for example. I met Jordan at Wells Fargo. He was a bank teller, and I would go in there every day, and he would see the deposits, and he sees what we're doing, and awesome customer service. And one day he's at my office, and he's helping one of my other sales reps out. And I'm like, what is it? That guy looks familiar. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm your banker. I work at the bank. I'm like, cool. He's like, I really want to do roofing sales. I love dealing with people and yada, yada. But, I make $65K over there. I said, dude, my lowest paid sales guy's making 150 and my top guy did, well over 6, so, and he's like, what? I mean, his jaw hit the ground. And I said, yeah, I'm telling you, it's a good opportunity here, but it's a privilege to come sell here. I don't want 100 guys out here. I want to make sure that guys are doing the right thing. If you wouldn't sell it to your mother or your grandmother, don't come in here thinking you're going to peel people and take advantage of folks, because, we don't play that here. So he came on board, and his first year in sales, he did almost 4 million in sales. And his second year, he did 9. And, talk about a regular guy. When you look at this guy, he's a regular dude, but he just cares about what he does. And when he comes to me and he's asking questions, he's like, hey, how does Ralph's led the pack year after year. He's been the top guy for 8 years running. And I said, why don't you ask him? Go sit down and talk to Ralph, And Ralph's the guy that gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing paperwork at 4. He's a machine. He's just a rare breed. Ralph set the tone for all my guys. And I told Ralph, like, hey, you keep running the stuff and I'm going to support you in every way, shape, or form. If you're getting up at 3, I'm getting up at 3. You got to send an email at 4. I'm going to be there to receive it at 4. I'm going to mimic the heartbeat, and that's it. And from us doing that, by bringing on these guys that were good, and this is a true story. I've never hired a sales guy from putting an ad out looking for sales guys. Every salesman that works for us, our 11 guys, have come into this office and asked for a job, and that's it. And they were helpers to other sales guys, and we have grown them into very successful salespeople. But, to support them, it's very simple, man. They believe in the dream, and they understand the mission, the vision, and the values. And we all eat, sleep, and breathe this, and we're very mission oriented, and we all got the same goals. So when you're all on the same page, it's easy to control.
How do you support them from the production side? Like this, I mean, $9 million, like that's it. Like that's crazy. Like to a lot of people to even think that, right? Like most business, there's a lot of roofing companies that can't do $9 million. This guy's doing 9 million. Like, how do you support them logistically, right? Like, what does a $9 million sales rep do for his duties, his day to day? And what do you do to make sure that 9 million gets built?
So I looked at some other operations, and, I learned this early on, kind of up north, the way that some of the contractors operate is, the salesman will sell the job and then they'll manage the entire project. And when I seen that's how they did it up north, and I was really ramping up early on in my career, I knew it wasn't feasible. You can't, what are you? Are you a salesman? Are you a foreman? Are you a production manager? It's tough to be ultra successful and wear all those hats. So I just told my guys, like, listen, your one job is to sell and sell only. That's it. You sell jobs and we will build them and produce them. We have crews and crew leaders, but we also have a line of foremen that come behind and they're checking all the work. We have a collections department, and we don't call it that. It's called the customer care department. Our customer care team is the ones that are reaching out, doing the personal touches and handing it off. What we're doing is we're allowing the sales rep to go out, be themselves, number one, sell themselves, but also use all the tools that Roman Roofing has provided, through our referrals and our relationships and our network and all the stuff that we do. And then just explain. Everybody thinks like the salesman has to be there for every step of the process or else it's going to be bad. And it's like, no, it doesn't. As long as the other lines of communication are equally as strong, you can have a winning recipe to be successful. So there's no way these guys could sell 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 million in sales. And I haven't even mentioned my commercial guy. My commercial guy did 12 million in sales by himself. So it's a process. You got to have the right flow, the procedure processes, and you got to hand it off to the right folks. And you got to make sure that the key people are there to take the ball and run with it. Early on when we were building that process, did we have problems with it? Absolutely. One of our biggest things, 3-4 years ago was, hey, I saw my salesman, he sold a job. I never heard from him again. That sort of thing. And it was like, whoa, wait a minute. We worked so hard to build this customer service machine. And now that we're experiencing this growth and we're pumping it, like, we can't get away from our core ethics and values. That's what built us. So We had to create the customer care department, and it was amazing. It cut down on collections. It cut down on, people not giving reviews. I mean, I lead the industry in this market for reviews, and those are all 100% no bought and paid for reviews. I've done 24,000 projects in 9 years, and that's repairs, re-roofs, and all of that. But it's like we only have like 1,200 reviews, maybe 1,500 through all platforms. We have like over 1,000 on Google, but it's like we haven't even really scratched the surface there. I've done 24,000 projects. I should have 10,000 reviews, honestly. So it's the mindset of understanding, like, don't lose focus of what the mission, vision, and values is, even as you're scaling. If you're customer service oriented and you're doing 20 million in sales, that understand you have to be customer service oriented. If you're doing 80 million in sales, you have to do that. And if it takes building out a department to be able to handle that and allow your sales reps to be able to sell and produce, that's what you got to do. So
I kind of see two issues just that in this model that people have run into along the way. The first issue is that the support of the salesperson who and then the customer just not seeing that person again and all of that. What is it? Walk through that experience. Job gets sold. What happens from there? How does the team take over?
Yeah, so we have a CRM system that is super customized for us. We've been working with the CRM system. Jeff Wisniewski, the owner of Giddy Up. I've used all the CRMs out there, and nothing was really getting it for our business. I'm not saying that any of the other ones aren't good. I've tried them all. I've tried them most of them. They're just template based, and they're what I consider for entry level basic businesses. We are very into reporting and metrics and data. I pull all the data. I know every company in the area that's pulling permits, how many permits they're pulling. I know all that. We're very strategic in what we do. So for us to be able to work with a CRM system that was going to be able to listen to our needs without charging us millions of dollars like some of the big guys out there,
So it starts with the tech. You built it on a foundation of technology.
You have to. You have to have
the right technology to create. And so in that technology, people are getting notified, maybe get the right tasks are being created, and maybe the right people can see everyone who needs to see what's going on can see what's going on. Is that
absolutely? Once it goes in and it's into permitting, it's a big dashboard. Everybody can see where all the job flow is, and they can see it all the time. We have TVs up. You can look at it. The department heads are running their departments. They know what the workflow is. We can forecast, and we can look at the cycles of weather and look at years past trends and say, hey, we know the summer times are slower. It's rainy season. You can't produce as much work, but the phones are ringing. You can build your pipeline up, yada, yada, yada. So definitely the technology side of things and getting that ironed out, because if you don't have that, then you better have a lot of money to hire a lot of people.
Definitely. Now, on the other side of that, I see that foundation, right? You need the foundation of the organization of the job flow. Who's in charge of what at what step? I can see that. That's what you need from the support side.
Absolutely.
The other problem that I hear, or challenge or concern that owners have in this system is managing the quality of the sale.
Yes.
And managing the expectation of the homeowner and what the sales rep sold to what we're actually building, right?
Yes.
And that gap, if people get scared, if I let my sales rep run, they're just going to sell stuff, right?
Yeah,
they're just going to sell everything.
Yes. Well,
how do you manage that? How have you managed that part of that aspect?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why we run a small amount of guys is we want to keep control over what is being said and what we're selling out there. I've done a lot of consulting for other roofing companies, and they say, well, I got 40 sales reps, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, how much money are you actually making? What's the number line on the products that they're selling? And they go, well, I'm not sure. This guy did this much in sales, this much in sales. I'm like, well, what are the margins that these guys are selling at? Well, I haven't looked into that. I said, well, let's dig into it. So we dug into some of these numbers, and some of these guys realized real quick that guys were selling products and costing the company money. They were losing money on the sales. And I said, you're turning dollars, man, and you're on a downward trend. Like, these guys are doing no service to you. So that was key to understand that early on, and understand, like, hey, listen, you got to be able to have a way to track it. If you can't track it, I mean, look, I come from the sales world too. Trust me, I've had my fair share of selling jobs that didn't have any money in them like everybody else. So our system tracks all that. When they go ahead and put build the roof out into the CRM system, it shows our margin on there. And if they lower the price below a margin, my manager's alerted, I'm alerted. If they need to go below that, they'll call me. I'll give an approval. We run it through. And that's just the first line, because I'll give the guys some leeway depending on the job, where it is, who we're up against, and that sort of thing. I do like to get competitive from time to time. But it also goes into an auditing process. So once it goes through the system, we have somebody that's auditing every job that goes before it goes out. So they're looking at it, and then they're going, Norm, hey, listen, what do you want to do here? We're at 9%. This guy made an error in the computer. He typed in the wrong thing, or whatever happened, blah, blah, blah. And I'm a firm believer on not going back to your clients and saying, hey, I made a mistake. I need more money. We don't do that. I'll give you some leeway as an estimator. You make the mistake a couple of times, it's okay. We're all humans here. But if it's continued and it's a trend, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get paid on that job, and you may end up owing the company money if you make a big one. So I have had guys come in that say, hey, I'm going up against a competitor. I don't care about the money. I want this. I'm selling this job because it's in a nice community. I'm getting in, blah, blah, blah. That strategy. Hey, no problem. It's all good. We can do that. But, you have to be very selective, and you have to monitor what's going on, or you can find yourself in a bad spot real quick.
Real quick. All right. Now, if we took Norm back 9 years, right? We take you back 9 years with the knowledge that you've gained over over this time in building Roman, and said, hey, start over. What would you do different?
I guess one of my biggest weaknesses is I believe, and I did believe, not so much anymore, but I always thought that everybody worked and believed in things the way I do, through my eyes, right? And as a business owner, it's like we get frustrated sometimes with individuals because we think a certain way and we're wired a certain way, and we expect everybody else to be wired the way we are, to understand the way we are, to think the way we are. And it's like, look, man, there's a lot of different personality types out there. And we've done a lot of personality testing and things like that with certain salespeople to understand, like, is this guy going to be able to get it done? What kind of guy is he on and off the field, yada, yada. So for me, if I went back then, I was too nice to everybody. I'm like, yeah, come on. Yeah, we'll do this for you. Yeah, I'll help you. Yeah, here, you need some extra money. I'm just thinking, like, if I help these folks out, they're going to be drivers and want to win. And that's not the case, man. It's not. You got to lead by example. You got to hold people accountable, and sometimes telling people, painful, hard things that they don't want to hear. It's best to do it as quick as possible. If you see something that is a mistake, instead of, he's a good guy, I know he's making a mistake in a job, he'll get better. They're not going to get better. They're going to continually create and drive those bad habits that are going to affect everybody around you, affect a department, or affect your overall company. So if somebody's not living up to speed, it's being as direct as possible. And if you hurt feelings, you hurt feelings, but there's a way to give it to somebody. Excuse my language, but I call it the shit sandwich. It's the good, the bad, the good. You give them that sandwich and say, hey, here's what you're doing that's good. Here's what you're doing that I don't like, that it's affecting us and it's problematic and it's not good for you either. But here's how we're going to correct it. Here's how I'm going to help you. Are you good to go? Yes or no? And then again, if they don't follow up on that and they can't get off that X and move, then it's time to part ways. And I feel like early on in my career, I was too nice. I let infective people stay way too long that got into other departments and just, we're on a crash course for chaos. So it's, if somebody's not, if they're not on the team and they're not living the same, mission, vision, values with you guys, cut them. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. That's my biggest thing, was getting a little bit harder on the exterior as a business owner early on in my career, and understanding everybody thinks different. So.
Awesome, Norm, man. This is a great conversation. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thank you for tuning into the Roofing Success Podcast. For more valuable content, visit roofingsuccesspodcast.com. While there, check out our sponsors for exclusive offers, shop for merchandise, and sign up for our newsletter for industry updates and tips. Also, join the Roofing Success Facebook group to connect with other professionals and stay updated on the latest trends. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps us continue to bring you top industry insights. The website link is in the description. Thanks for listening.